I do not own Star Trek, or any of the related characters. Star Trek is a mark owned by Paramount. This story is a work of fanfiction and is for entertainment only. I am not making profit from this story. This is a tribute. All rights of Star Trek belong to Paramount. This fanfiction takes place between the second and third movies of the Kelvinverse.
Star Trek Reloaded, Chapter 10, Ship on the Run. Off any canonical route, close to the uncertain frontier with the Romulan Empire, the Kobayashi Maru cut through the fabric of space at Warp 8. A careful use of the ship would have required days of travel, but, even if apparently no one thought about it, everyone was aware of the fact that, one way or another, there would probably be no return. So, the stresses given by the warp field continually put the ship's structure to the test, and Scott helplessly noted the emergence of small critical issues throughout the system. But the murderous sun was getting closer every second. The entire crew was present on the bridge, including a silent Notby, almost absent-mindedly sitting at a secondary console.
Since the objective is close, I think it is time to clearly define the purpose and methods of our last action.
Without meaning to, Kirk's words sounded extremely serious.
I think everyone is aware of the fact that, at this point, it is impossible to abandon the path taken. We have made a choice. We must honor it, in the name of everything we believe in, and which, frankly, it would be rhetorical, redundant, to remember once again. It is not a time for celebrations. It is not a time to rejoice or to cry. We are about to do something that we hope will give the Federation a better future, something of which we will probably never know the consequences. This time,
Kirk involuntarily looked at the Spocks.
This time we are guided more by a sensation than by pure reason, a sensation so strong that it bends even the most ironclad logic.
The Vulcan ambassador nodded his head in agreement. His young counterpart seemed more uncertain.
We have been inside Romulan space for some time. Our objective is now only 2 hours away.
Kirk dramatically clenched his fists.
And it is quite probable that no one will be able to detect us. We can do it!
Timidly, the crew began to nod at the captain's comment. Chekhov uttered a hooray in a low voice, but, even if there was conviction, the resignation seemed to overwhelm the enthusiasm of those present. The first officer spoke.
We will arrive at maximum warp in the 74GD system. The Federation does not know the official name, and, just 10 million kilometers away, we will launch a photon torpedo towards the system's sun.
Young Spock seemed distant as he laid out the plan of action. He mechanically repeated procedures already studied, anticipated each question with adequate clarifications. Kobayashi could have tolerated being close to the star for many minutes, and, once the device was released, she would have had plenty of time to warp away.
The torpedo has been increased in range and speed.
It was Scotty who spoke.
And the path is already programmed in his computers.
Sir,
said Sulu, raising a hand.
I confess that it is still unclear to me how that simple torpedo can penetrate a sun and destroy it.
Captain Notby?
Kirk invited him into the debate. The man of the future seemed taciturn and absorbed from the moment of his return on board, but he immediately spoke up without hesitation.
Thank you. As you all know, I implanted a device present in my timeship in the device. An artificial singularity of terrifying power. This will be enough to isolate the torpedo from solar matter, thanks to a force field capable of resisting for the fraction of a second necessary to bring it close to the star's core. Once in position, the singularity will be freed, and I have calculated it has more than enough strength to implode this sun and disappear from this plane of space forever.
Is this solar system inhabited?
Everyone froze for a moment at McCoy's question. Decided, the elderly ambassador intervened.
Good point, Leonard. No, there is no life there. Before embarking on the unfortunate journey with the jellyfish, I studied the history and characteristics of the system. With the approval of the Romulan Senate. 74GD. They didn't told me how they call it. Has no formed planets. only rare asteroid belts and a couple of gaseous planets of no importance.
I would have been sorry to take innocent people with us to hell.
Dear Doctor, we want to undo a timeline and everyone in it, everywhere. We have arrogated to ourselves the right to be hell ourselves.
Thought the first officer bitterly. -50 minutes.
Sir, I intercept many subspace communications.
Uhura skillfully piloted her console.
Encrypted, obviously. They come from what appears to be at least 30 vessels.
Are they on an intercept course?
Not really.
It was young Spock from the sensor station who responded to the captain.
In fact, we limit ourselves to overcoming them. They remain in our devices for a few seconds. The Romulan fleet of this era is mostly equipped with heavy gunboats capable only of sub-warp speed,
said the other Vulcan of the crew.
But, if so far we have detected about 30.
There are at least many others hidden who knows where.
The elderly Vulcan nodded, pleased at not be responsible for the last intervention.
As they say, eyes and ears on alert.
Kirk said, sketching a bitter smile.
It shouldn't be difficult for you too, Spock.
McCoy chuckled evilly. The young Vulcan raised both eyebrows and said, dejectedly,
You know, Doctor, it's really a shame. Your jokes are increasingly heavy and silly. You should consider looking for a good scriptwriter. You might have a future as a stand-up comedian on spaceliner ships. Tourists tend to be good-natured,
added the ambassador. McCoy remained silent for a moment, then,
No, I can't fight against two. But who cares, we'll all be dead soon anyway.
Saying this, he cracked an improbable grin and started pretending to study something on a pad. -30 minutes. In the soft light of the torpedo compartment, Scotty managed to find the last code. Notby's torpedo finally revealed his secrets to him. With horror and frustration, the engineer discovered that was unable to understand the most of the information acquired. He copied what he could into a pad and resumed the safety code set by the temporal agent. -25 minutes. Isolated in a small room, Kirk and Scott, together with the first officer, looked perplexed at the data on the pad.
I don't understand, Chief Engineer. This information is untranslatable to my knowledge. Frankly compatible, I think, with what Notby said.
The Vulcan was almost incredulous at having found an enigma so out of his reach. He would have given his life to have the time to study and understand it. But was the time, perhaps, that wanted his life?
Mr. Spock, I don't know how to read them either, but...
He pointed to a row of obscure signs on the monitor.
These diagrams reveal something that I can't explain, that shouldn't be there.
What do you mean?
Kirk's concern grew with every word Scott said.
Monty, you know what's at stake. Are we wrong to trust?
Can I help you?
The elderly Vulcan, the Spock of the future, had appeared almost out of nowhere. Kirk and the first officer looked into each other's eyes for a second. They both couldn't help but suspect that, if there was something unclear in the story, it was difficult not to see the ambassador also as a more or less aware part of the alleged conspiracy. The captain broke through.
Spock, explain this to me.
Vulcan's incredibly wrinkled but firm hand took the pad. The ambassador studied the data for several seconds, then looked up from the screen.
Fascinating.
-20 minutes.
Sir, we are in the 74 GD system. We exit warp and proceed at maximum speed as scheduled. Sir?
Sulu, at the helm station, looked around several times. The captain was not on the bridge, and not even the Vulcans were present. The Japanese turned his attention to Chekhov, who expressed perplexity with a strange grimace on his face. Uhura was too busy searching for alien transmissions to notice the strange, unjustified absences on the bridge of a ship now close to completing the mission.
Doctor, where is the captain?
McCoy sniffed, annoyingly, and spread his arms towards the helmsman.
I have no idea. It seems that everyone has decided not to come to the show.
The system's sun, their target, finally appeared on the huge screen.